Hi, I'm Ali. Now in this video we're going to be making your very first stitches at the sewing machine. So this is going to be really exciting. So by now you should have your machine threaded and you should have practiced doing this several times so you're really comfortable with getting all of this ready for sewing. Now I want you to make sure that you're sitting on a comfortable chair, that you've got good lighting and that you've got your machine right in front of you so you're not having to reach or twist and be uncomfortable. So I want you to be able to see what you're doing really clearly. So there's a little procedure that we need to follow before we get started. So you want to make sure that both your needle and your bobbin thread are up on top of the stitching plate. So your bobbin thread is coming up out of that stitching plate like we practiced before. We need to make sure that the presser foot is raised. So you're going to lift that lever up and lift that presser foot up to its upper position. And then we need to make sure that the needle is in its highest position as well. So if it's not, you're going to hold on to those threads and turn that hand wheel towards you and watch the needle go up and down and turn it until you can see that the needle is right up and that this take-up lever is in its highest position. So now we're ready to put the fabric underneath the presser foot. So now you're going to grab a piece of fabric. So this can be cut from your pillowcase or tablecloth or any scrap fabric that you don't care about. We're going to be putting a lot of stitches onto this piece of fabric. So just grab something that you're comfortable sewing a heap on and using up. So then this is going to be a minimum of about 4 to 6 inches or about 10 by 15 centimeters. And you're going to fold it in half so that the fabric is now in 2 layers. And this is going to really help you just have control over the fabric so that you're not stitching on a single layer that can be a little bit harder to control. So we're going to take this folded fabric and put it right under the presser foot. Make sure that the presser foot is fully covering it. And then you're going to lower that presser foot all the way down and you should be able to feel that that is now being held securely in place. Then you're going to put your foot on the foot pedal, but you're not going to press anything just yet. I want you to just get comfortable with the position of where this is with your foot so that you are relaxed and you feel like you're going to have some control over it. So we're going to just get used to the feeling of pushing that presser foot and moving that fabric through the sewing machine. So I want you to hold these threads. This is a very important part of starting off when you're stitching. You only need to hold these for 2 or 3 stitches, but if you don't hold them, then the machine can suck those down inside the machine and make a tangle. So this is an important part of starting off. So just put a little bit of pressure on those threads and then you're going to push down really gently on that foot pedal and the machine is going to start moving. So for this first row of stitches, you're just going to be observing what's happening, noticing how fast the machine is going, and I want you to be trying to push that pedal as slowly as possible so that you are staying in control. So you might be a bit alarmed as to the speed that your machine is going at when you put your foot on the pedal. So some sewing machines will have a speed limiter dial on the front of the machine itself. So if your machine has got one of these, you can turn this down to the slowest that it will go, and this is going to limit the speed that you go at. However, many entry-level machines don't have this capability, and the only speed control you have is the foot itself. So if you're finding that the pedal on your foot controller is very sensitive and it doesn't give you the ability to sew slowly, you might have the ability to adjust this manually. So this particular sewing machine does have a little speed control on the bottom of the machine and you have to look really closely to see it. But there is a little tiny hole in the bottom here and you can use a flat bladed screwdriver, and when you turn this to the plus sign on here, this is going to turn the speed right down. And I can't emphasize enough how big of a difference this is going to make to your confidence, because this is really going to help you stay in control of your sewing machine. So now we're going to have a look at the stitches that we've just made to check that the tension is correct on these stitches. So on top I have the red needle thread, and underneath I have the blue bobbin thread. So what I'm looking for here is that all I can see underneath is that blue bobbin thread, and all I can see on top is the red needle thread. I don't want to see any looping or loose threads poking through. I don't want to see any of that bobbin thread on top or any of that needle thread coming down. So if your tension is too tight, you are going to be seeing that bobbin thread coming up to the top of the fabric. And if your tension is too loose, you're going to be seeing that needle thread pulling down underneath so that it will be showing inside that bobbin thread as well. So we want those stitches just sitting nice and flat on either side of the fabric and just looking nice and smooth. So now I've come to pretty much the end of my fabric, and I'm going to show you how to stop. So once again, you need to make sure that your needle is in its highest position. So if it's not, if it's stopped with down inside the fabric, you're going to turn that wheel towards you and raise that needle until you can see that it's come all the way up, and this take up lever here is in its highest position. And then you're going to lift the presser foot and pull on your fabric, and you're going to pull it out towards the rear of your machine, and then grab your little scissors and you're going to cut those threads close to the edge of the fabric. So there we go. You have sewn your first stitches. You're going to have some tails at the beginning of what you've stitched. You're just going to grab your scissors and trim them off as well. And it's a good idea to get in the habit of trimming your threads nice and neatly at the beginning and end of every row of stitches that you sew, so that you don't accidentally have those tails hanging off later on when you've finished your project. So now you've sewn your first stitches, and I want you to practice this procedure of moving these tails over to the right hand side, placing the fabric underneath the presser foot, lowering the presser foot, then putting as light a pressure on that foot pedal as you can and sewing along the fabric. Remember, you can stop at any time if you feel like you're not in control. Just practice stopping and resetting if you need to. And then when you're ready to stop, you're going to make sure that that needle is in that upright position. This take up lever is fully up. Raise the presser foot, pull the fabric out to the back and cut your threads. So now I want you to run through all of this about 10 or so times. Just sew some rows on your fabric, fill it up with stitches, and just get comfortable with how this is all feeling. So now it's time to tangle the machine, because tangles and thread nests are going to happen. Sometimes your thread might break, sometimes your machine will just do something a little bit unexpected, and I want you to get used to this and also used to how to fix it, because all of this can be fixed very quickly. So let's do this. So if you accidentally start stitching without lowering the presser foot or without holding those threads for the first couple of stitches, then your thread is very likely to get tangled down in the machine, and it's going to go something like this. Whoops, there we go. That didn't sound very good, did it? So the most important thing to remember when your machine makes a tangle is to take a deep breath and stay calm, because you can fix this tangled mess and you'll get really good at it as you go along. Even the professionals get their machines tangled all the time. Sometimes things just don't play along. So take your time and you'll be able to sort it out and get back to sewing really quickly. So the first thing you're going to do is gently pull on your fabric and just see whether you can pull it out from underneath the presser foot. And if you can't, then you're going to have a look underneath and you're going to grab these little pointy scissors, and very carefully you're going to reach down in the gap of that stitching plate and snip those stitches. So there we go. I've got that out. There might be some residual threads that you've got in here. And now I'm going to have a look at my bobbin, because it looks like I've got some of that needle thread wound around down inside my bobbin. So I'm going to have to pull that bobbin out. So I can see that these threads are really wrapped around in here. So I'm going to just cut a couple of them and pull everything out. So just take your time with this. Make sure that you're getting all of these threads out of here. And when you can see that this is all clear, then you're good to go. You can reload your bobbin, bring the thread back up to the top again, and then you're all ready to start stitching again. Now that's it for this video. Now in the next video, we're going to be talking about sewing straight lines, which is one of the most fundamental parts of sewing. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you there.